St. John may soon have a new police station. We'll have that story and more coming up next on NewsCenter 10.
Tonight's NewsCenter 10 is brought to you in part by Calls, the low-cost alternative long-distance service.
Good evening. I'm Lee Vanderpool. Aquanet Generally White has the night off.
Good evening. I'm Paige Stahl, sitting in for Aquanet. Police Commissioner George Farrelly and the president of the St. Thomas St. John Police Benevolent Association today came to an agreement on plans for a new police station in Cruz Bay, St. John. Farrelly and Raymond agreed that something must be done and done quickly.
The old Cruz Bay police station continues to be in use by police officers on St. John, but it's clearly too small and rapidly outliving its usefulness. The headquarters are located across the street from the Sproul School, and they consist of only 3 rooms. The main room is used for business, licensing, examinations, such as driver's tests. It also serves as the business office for the command post. When we took these pictures today, there were 2 people occupying desks as they took exams, and there was little room for any more to take the test. In an adjacent room is the sergeant's desk, where the blotter is kept and the routine work of the police is conducted. The room is cramped, dark, and difficult to work in. Just next to that room is an even smaller one that's used for everything the other 2 rooms don't. It's a locker room for police. It contains a refrigerator and a single chair as the lunchroom, and with a television set, it's become the general lounge for police officers.
I, too, determined that that situation is a very deplorable situation, and I find that it is necessary for us to do something about it and do something about it immediately.
Police desperately want to make a change to new headquarters, but the only facility available is the old Morris DeCastro Clinic in Cruz Bay. That was to have been vacated by the Department of Health when the Myra Keating Clinic opened out of town, but it's also been used by emergency medical technician as their center of operations. As a result, police and health will have to share the facility, something that disturbed Police Benevolent President Alvis Raymond. Because of poor access for police into the building and because of fears about mixing health patients and police prisoners. But today, Raymond and Police Commissioner Farrelly, along with Deputy Commissioner for St. Thomas St. John Hugo Hodge, toured the facility to determine whether the building could be used to house both police and health.
We've looked at it. We've negotiated with Commissioner Schneider. We've came to an agreement as to the portion of this clinic that we would be utilizing for police services. And this is why we're here now in an attempt to simply finalize those arrangements.
We discussed today a new entrance to be built for police where a wall will be erected to divide health and police divisions and how well such a facility would appear to function. The reason that health must continue to occupy the building is that the majority of emergency calls are nearby the old clinic, not the new one. Today, Raymond said he was pleased with the response from the new commissioner on the issue and his attitude toward problem solving.
In the past, we just had lip service here. We had the commissioner here to come straight to us, both to him and his assistant, and tell us exactly what we're going to get, and not just give us nothing done what we are.
Farrelly said he hopes the renovations will be completed by September so that police can vacate the old facility, but that work still must be funded by the legislature. This is only a short-term arrangement, Farrelly said. He hopes that when the government's fiscal situation improves, that police will be given a new facility on a plot of land that's already been identified near the old station. For NewsCenter 10, I'm Paige Stahl.
The Virgin Islands government has worked itself into a catch-22 because of its failure to raise sufficient revenues to pay for its expenses and its failure to trim expenses to meet the actual revenues. The problem is that there is such a large amount of long-term debt that is depleting the resources of the government. And soon there won't be any more borrowing because so much money will be going to pay for the long-term debt. The problem was made clear in the federal audit report released yesterday by the Office of the Inspector General. In its special report on the government's finances, by the end of 1982, the Virgin Islands government reported a total of $81 million in long-term debt. But because of recent bond issues used to finance a road gauge construction package and to pay for salary increases last year, by the end of the current fiscal year, long-term debt will have more than doubled to an estimated $171 million. In years past, the government's matching fund derived from revenues from Virgin Islands rum sold in the U.S. mainland has been used to pay for the long-term debt. Because that debt has increased so dramatically, it will be necessary by 1986 to dip into the general fund to pay for this long-term debt. The problem may be made worse because it's possible the federal government has placed too much money into the matching fund. As a result, the traditional source of funds may be far less than expected. This shortage may increase the general fund deficit even further than it already is. The federal audit states that the debt service will increase to $30 million by 1987, but thankfully will decrease in years after that. But as a result of long-term borrowing, the debt service requirement for the next 5 to 10 years have taken most of the matching fund revenues. That leaves very few funds available to cover any future operating losses. What is the solution? Current operating shortages will have to be paid either with next year's revenues or further borrowing on a long-term basis. The only other alternatives are to raise taxes, cut back on operating costs, or both. If that is not done, the financial condition of the Virgin Islands government will only further deteriorate. Still ahead tonight on NewsCenter 10, the Commissioners of Health, Housing, and Conservation and Cultural Affairs held a joint news conference today in attempts to update the situation of typhoid on St. Croix.
And a resolution of the territorial budget deficit problem could come tomorrow as the legislature returns to work. We'll have those stories and more when we come back next on NewsCenter 10.
Oh, nice writing. It's clear.
Thank you. Good reading.
I understood it. Typhoid on 2, coming up. Who's got that? I do. Okay, let's share this. How'd it be like this, John?
Leader.
My 3/4 shot. Tests will continue at the Paradise Mills housing project as officials try to locate. Where in the hell is this? Okay, here it is. We have 422 and Cloth Horse. That's the Cloth Horse we're back. John, I changed my mind. Tests will continue at the Paradise Mills housing project on St. Croix as officials try to locate the source of a typhoid outbreak there that last month hospitalized more than 60 residents. Outbreak there that pushed more than 60 residents to the hospital on St. Croix last month. The Commissioners of Health, Conservation and Cultural Affairs and Housing held a joint news conference today to update the public on what's being done to solve this health problem. Is it over yet? Tests will continue at the Paradise Mills housing project on St. Croix as officials now try to locate the source of the typhoid outbreak there that put 60 residents in the hospital last month. The Commissioners of Health, Conservation and Cultural Affairs and Housing held a joint news conference today in an attempt to update the public on what's being done to solve this health problem.
At a news conference last week, Health Commissioner Dr. Roy Schneider said that he believed contaminated water was the source of typhoid on St. Croix.
But we still maintain that the water is contaminated. Now, until that water is cleared out, we will still continue to tell you that it is contaminated because our studies say that. Now, I think what needs to be done is not to set agencies against agencies, but we need to get together and make sure that these citizens get proper water at the area.
Schneider said today the testing will continue to pinpoint either food or water as a source of typhoid. Commissioner Centeno, along with the other department heads, concur that a study must be done to produce positive results.
We are bringing in an expert, the name of Ed Libby. He is coming down from Cincinnati, and he is a specialist in this area. He's a sanitary engineer, someone who has been in the business for 20 years. And we have all agreed that this expert will determine for us exactly, which way we should be headed.
Commissioner Centeno said the water will be tested at least 3 times a week at the Paradise Mills housing project.
We right there and then decided that the water system would be analyzed 3 times a week with analytical results going to DCCA for review and processing. It was also agreed that a more in-depth analysis of the entire water system was needed to conclusively determine the actual cause of the typhoid outbreak.
Centeno had high praises for the other commissioners.
Got to say that Commissioner LeBron and Commissioner Schneider has really come through in our hour of need.
A series of seminars for taxi drivers, tour bus operators, and others who are interested are being offered by the Division of Tourism in the Division of Commerce. Director of Tourism Leona Bryant announced that these seminars will be held at the Cyril King Airport this evening, and that'll be from 7 until 9 o'clock tonight on St. Thomas, and on St. Croix tomorrow evening at the White Elephant Pre-Clearance Building tomorrow night. These seminars will be conducted by Dr. Rustam Sethna of the Ryerson Institute in Canada. And according to Bryant, this is the first in a series of tourism seminars that will be held at various times to be announced.
Well, Paige, the splintered Senate Majority's coalition's latest deficit reduction package, which calls for massive borrowing and transferring of funds to meet the operating expenses of the Virgin Islands government for the remainder of fiscal year 1985, and a 0.75% increase in gross receipts taxes, will be debated in a committee of the whole set for tomorrow, Thursday, with action on this bill expected to come the following day, Friday. As NewsCenter 10's Elliot Wissenot reports tonight, it's basically the same package that the Senate defeated weeks ago.
Since the defeat of their previous proposal that called for an increase from 3 to 3.75% for gross receipts taxes, a 5% increase in real property tax, elimination of 6 local holidays, and large transfers of government funds to the general fund, members of the majority have been meeting to come up with a new package to deal with the territory's $30 million budget deficit. The latest package calls for the same gross receipts tax, but drops the elimination of holidays and real property tax. The proposal still includes an enforced hiring freeze, creation of a legislative executive management improvement commission, a moratorium on government land purchases, and calls for accelerated payments of real property taxes at 60% of real value. The majority bills cut back on reduction in expenditures for the current year from $21 million across the board to 19, less than those in the previous bill vetoed by Governor Juan Luis last week. Senate President Derek Hodge stated today, the majority is satisfied that the bills will pass, but he expressed concern over the Luis administration's apparent wavering on expenditure cutbacks.
It is apparent the governor has not been keeping his word. He originally sent down, back in December rather, last year, proposed spending cuts of some 20.12 million. 19.1. And then in June it dropped to 19-point-something million, and right now it's at about 18 million. So in the process, what the governor has been doing is virtually increasing the deficit.
The Senate president stated that majority members were unable to arrange meetings with the unaligned members before Thursday's Committee of the Whole meeting. On St. Thomas, Elliot Wissenot for NewsCenter 10.
There's a basketball clinic coming to the U.S. Virgin Islands. David Massey is here to tell us about that, and horse racing from Clinton Phipps Park. All the sports up next on NewsCenter 10. What do you want to talk about, Guy?
Well, we can talk about the sharpshooter, since you know a little bit about that.
Whatever you'd like. I do, but I don't guarantee its accuracy. Ever since it
sure?
fell off my wrist, I don't know what's going on.
Is everything straight on me?
That's probably because I was
ahead of time now. How many commercials? Let's see. This is the 90s. That one more.
I think I better button this. What do you think? No?
Let's talk about the clinic. I'd rather talk about that.
Okay, that's the lead story.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
That is accurate.
This is?
Yeah.
Fairly. Maybe 15 or 20 seconds fast, if anything.
That's good.
$197 at Bob Krieger's Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, Cadillac, Nissan.
Attention.
That's the best day.
Sure is.
I can't tell.
Has your own ad agency now.
Oh. That's the guy who came by the station 10 minutes, an hour ago.
I think he was seeing his ad.
Scary, isn't it? David, that basketball clinic coming up in St. Croix very shortly, I think it's really great the way coaches and players sometimes will come down and show the kids how it's done.
In fact, Paige, it's such a good idea that it should be an annual thing. Every summer there should be a basketball clinic in the Virgin Islands for students coming home and the ones going off to school. Good evening. One of the largest basketball clinics ever to hit the territory is just around the corner. The clinic will involve more than 10 college coaches from the mainland, along with Mike Glenn, professional basketball player for the Atlanta Hawks. The proceeds will benefit the boys club. The deadline to register is August the 2nd. Jack Ellis of Cable TV on St. Croix stopped by WBNB to give us the details.
Boys Club of St. Croix happens to be, they're going to sponsor this basketball clinic for youngsters between the age of 10 and 18. And it's going to be the 8th and 9th of August at John Woodson Junior High School and the Central High School gym. Of course, the 10 to 14-year age group, we will have at the John Woodson Junior High School gym, and the 15 through 18-year-old age group will be at the Central High gym. We think it's very important that major college coaches are coming here to conduct this clinic. In addition to that, we have Mike Glenn of the Atlanta Hawks, who is a tremendous person, a great ball player, but also a great person to come down and spend 2 days with us. And, of course, while the coaches are here, even though it's not a recruiting trip per se, but I'm sure if they see an athlete that probably could fit into their program in years to come, I'm sure they will make a mental note of that. So it should be a good program. The Boys Club is sponsoring. It's a fundraiser for the Boys Club. It only costs $5 for a youngster to enter this particular clinic. Some people call it a camp, but it's a clinic. It's a basketball clinic. And you can pick up your application at the Boys Club either in Christiansted or Frederickstead, or call the central office of the Boys Club on St. Croix. That's that 15 coaches coming from the mainlands to conduct this clinic, I think is unheard of, and I think it's a step in the right direction. And we're very grateful for the business community.
Virgin Islands was well represented at the Maccabea Games earlier this month as 16-year-old Jason Ellick joined the international team and brought home a bronze medal. As Paige Stahl reports, the victory not only brought some prestige to the islands to Ellick, it also provided something else.
16-year-old Jason Ellick helped a three-man international team of sharpshooters capture the bronze medal, third place in the Maccabea Games in Israel this month. Jason, who is entering 11th grade this year at Charlotte Amalia High School, was the youngest member of the competitors from over 40 countries and the least experienced, but he did very well indeed despite that.
Then when the USA team saw me, and a few other people saw me, one person lent me a kneeling roll, one person lent me a cleaning kit. Everyone at the games were pretty nice, you know. It was like one big, great get-together. I mean, everyone was helping everyone, really. And it was the greatest display of sportsmanship I've ever seen.
Shooting in competition is different from most sports. Instead of being hiked up for it, a marksman must be relaxed and prepared.
Learn, do methods of concentrating myself with the rifle, just firing the rifle, and running and swimming, and a lot of stretching and calisthenics, and aerobic-type exercises to really get my heart where it was supposed to be.
Jason was the sole Virgin Islands representative, and as another international competition, the islands were treated as a country. He joined two other solo shooters to form a team. Each team member shot in two competitions, prone and 3x40, which included prone, kneeling, and standing positions. Jason learned his shooting at the St.Thomas Shooting Association range and through the junior ROTC program at the high school. And after a successful first-place finish in the recent Inter-Caribbean competition, he was selected for the Jewish Olympic Games. It was a great experience for Jason, and it was certainly a mark of distinction for the Virgin Islands.
If someone really wants to do something, they can do it. And it doesn't matter who you are, how young you are, how inexperienced you are, that if you want to do it, you put your mind to do it, and you will do it.
For NewsCenter 10, I'm Paige Stahl.
Thank you, Paige. Some brief notes in sports. The Cubs have announced that pitcher Rick Sutcliffe is going on the disabled list for the third time this season and may not return for the season. And with the strike deadline 1 week away, negotiators in the baseball talks are getting down to business with the major financial issues coming up in today's session. The Players Union is seeking $45 million increase in the pension fund. That breaks down to about 1/3 of the current network TV contracts. The owners have indicated they'll compromise, but 1/3 of the revenue is just too much. In the St. Croix Soccer League, it was Africa United that beat Santos. The score was 1-0. Heavyweight boxing contender Jerry Cooney has announced his retirement today. The 27-year-old boxer lost only once to Larry Holmes. Cooney's last fight was in December. That's sports. I'm David Massey.
Thanks, David. Coming up next on NewsCenter 10, we'll have a report of today's action at the Senate Rules and Nominations Committee. That's when we come back. Stay tuned. Tell Wayne, please, we're dropping UN conference reader. Paige will do the rules, and then we'll go to weather next.
You'll say, it'll come to you, and you'll say not much change?
Yeah.
You do that, right?
Right.
Okay. And this is rules on which one?
Rules?
On 2?
On 2, yes.
Okay.
I have weather next on... I'll take weather next on 1.
Favorably on a series of proposals for federal community development block grants for 14 projects in the territory.
We're still in trouble.
Yeah.
We don't really need the rule.
I know. But we better put something in this section. It's only 120. It's not killing.
That'll save us somewhat.
In other news from the legislature today, the Rules and Nominations Committee acted favorably on a series of proposals for federal community development block grants for some 14 projects in the territory. NewsCenter 10's Elliot Wissenant has this report.
The territory is in line for $2.4 million in urban development grants, and today members of the Senate's Rules Committee voted to move the project's bills on to the full body for approval. $700,000 of the federal funds is earmarked for use by the Crown Bay Development Company as part of the Caribbean Basin Initiative. According to administration sources, the funds are to be used to resolve or alleviate the most pressing needs of the community. The Senate's Rules Committee voted Tuesday to recommend approval of projects totaling $1.7 million for federal community development block funding and another $700,000 for the Crown Bay port facilities on St. Thomas. The proposal by Governor Juan Luis was recommended to cut $50,000 in funding for small business loans and use the money for youth multi-service center programming. The small business program funding totaled $123,000 after the reduction. The governor recommended 14 projects for funding, 6 in St. Thomas St. John District, 5 in St. Croix District, and 3 territory-wide. The projects include restoration of the Enidem Bar Library and Fort Christian on St. Thomas, and establishment of a training program for the mentally handicapped. The bills now move on to the full Senate for a vote. On St. Thomas, Elliot Wissenant for NewsCenter 10.
Thank you, Elliot. Not much change expected in our weather picture, so says the National Weather Service. As Paige Stahl sits in for Aquanet tonight, he'll have the weather coming up next on NewsCenter 10. We are really out of it tonight, boy. It's 25 already.
I'm not leaving you. I'm just checking. Okay.
Good, because she always has a problem trying to get around there. This is a 60.
Okay.
St. Thomas
I knew
Dairy
this
back
damn
to
thing
us.
would happen. Shit.
Well, gone.
No, they put it on backwards. It's waiting to fall off. This is a Scotch tape and Band-Aid.
What are we going to talk about, guys?
What? Scotch tape and Band-Aids?
Yeah, what are we going to talk about? Huh? Thank you. You got a minute and a half and then one carrot piece.
I'll make it fast.
Same old, huh? I know you're happy. You remember that? Well, according to the National Weather Service, not much change. So, Paige, what are you going to tell us about the weather?
Kind of a strange day today, Lee. We have a lot of weather systems around the Virgin Islands, but nothing quite here that's affecting us. So what we had today and yesterday going to continue for tomorrow and the next day. Looking at what our statistics were today in the U.S. Virgin Islands, we had fairly good visibility, could see pretty well from both airports. The high today on St. Thomas, 91. The low overnight was 80, 90 on St. Croix, the high 93 on St. John, a little warmer there. Overnight lows on St. Croix, 78 and 81, respectively, on St. Croix and St. John. The barometric pressure is holding pretty steady now at about 30, a little bit of difference between the various islands. No precipitation at all on St. Thomas and St. John. 1/100th of 1 inch on St. Croix. We're not getting very much rain out of this weather system that we have. As we were explaining to Lee earlier, what we have is a lot of weather systems around the U.S. Virgin Islands. We have a trough up above us, thunderstorms over to the northeast, down to the south, more thunderstorms, and over around Jamaica, more thunderstorms. All of this is leaving a very unstable area for the U.S. Virgin Islands, but nothing really major is coming through. There is a high pressure system dropping down slowly that could begin to affect our weather, but for the most part, we can expect to have the same weather that we've had for the past couple of days. So expect tomorrow the high to be around 90 degrees, overnight low tonight about 78, partly cloudy skies, possibility of a few showers. They would be more likely at night. And that's weather tonight on NewsCenter 10.
And the heat goes on. We've got more coming up here at NewsCenter 10 after this. Stats at the end. I should have told you. I didn't tell you that.
That's all right. I enjoyed it.
We put the stats up at the end now. Jonathan, where are we?
Finally, this evening, in news from nearby Puerto Rico, the Commerce Secretary, Jorge Luis Aquino Nunez, says that the use of so-called 936 funds in auto financing is hurting Puerto Rico consumers. Aquino Nunez testified at public hearings before the Senate Consumer Affairs Committee, which is now conducting an investigation into automobile financing in the island. The Secretary said that the use of funds of the federal tax-free profits of American companies that are operating in Puerto Rico has resulted in high interest rates for consumers. And that's our news this evening, Lee.
Thank you, Paige. Nice to have you back again.
Glad to be here.
All suntanned and bright. For all of us at NewsCenter 10, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night.
Are you ready for mystery? What about murder?
Someone killed Sherlock Holmes.
Can you guess which one of these suspects did it? Angela Lansbury can. She's America's favorite sleuth, but she'll never tell until you watch Murder, She Wrote, coming soon.